Guys, we have a problem. Recent studies have shown that testosterone levels are falling in American men. Low T is linked to depression, low sex drive, and weight gain, so it's important to stay on top of it. You could go to a TRT clinic, but it's expensive, awkward, and in most cases, not necessary. You just need to stimulate your body's own natural testosterone production. It's time to check out the ultimate test stack at legacysubs.com. The majority of testosterone release occurs while you sleep, which is why the ultimate test stack features their best-selling sleep aid, Recovery PM. Test X9 stimulates testosterone, T-Assist inhibits estrogen, and Recovery PM gives you the best night's sleep you've ever had. You're gonna feel like a new man after trying the ultimate test stack for 30 days. If you don't believe me, check out all the verified 5-star reviews on Top Rated. Legacy Sports Nutrition is founded by 3-time world champion and SmackDown general manager, Mr. Nick Aldis, and 11-time women's champion and future Hall of Famer, Mickie James. And they personally use these products themselves. If you need more assurance, they're NSF certified, third-party lab tested, and made in the USA in an FDA-inspected facility. And because you listen to this show, you can save 10% off your order at legacysubs.com now by using Gabby at checkout. That's Gabby. That's legacysubs.com. LEGACYSUPPS.com. It's time to level up with Legacy.
It's about to get Gabby AF.
We about to get Gabby AF, Gabby AF. We about to get Gabby AF, Gabby AF. It's nothing less, cause you rocking with the best. Now we about to get Gabby AF.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Gabby AF. I have a very special guest joining me today because she is a badass. She just celebrated her birthday. I love her so much. Across the way, finally joining me is Serena Deeb. Serena, how are you today?
Gabby, I'm really good, and thank you for having me on your show. I've been looking forward to talking to you since I met you.
I literally, the minute I met you, I was like, I got to get her on because I feel like she's meant to be my friend. Like you just said this to me before, and I have to bring it up during the podcast because I just met you like less than a year ago, like very recently. And the minute I met you, I was like, I feel like I already know you. I feel like I met you already. It's like kind of one of those weird things of just like, you're just like kind of my people. It's like, I can just tell I like you, which I don't do all the time.
Same here. That's exactly how I felt. Cause we met at WrestleCon, just like in passing at the end there I think it was like the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she's dope. I love her vibe.
Yeah. And usually it's someone like from Jersey. So I'm like, oh, we have that like thing, but you're not from Jersey, but you know, I feel like you could be. I feel like you got the tude, you got the right sass to kind of be from Jersey without technically having to tell people you're from New Jersey. But I think that's what it is, honestly. I just wish I'll
take it. Well, I'm from DC, so we had like, not that far.
It's not that right. It's not that far away. Basically, it's all East Coast anyway. So we're kind of all the same, cut from the same strand. And
totally.
I know you just celebrated a birthday, and I even said this to you before, and I'm bringing it up again because I don't know if you're one of those girls who doesn't like to talk about how old you are, but like you just turned 38 years old, and you look fucking amazing. Like you look insanely good for that. Like I'm not going to look that way when I turn 38. And like, obviously you're an athlete, you're a badass, but like, what are like your secrets of, like you just look so good and you look so healthy and what's kind of like your day to day?
Oof. Well, thank you for saying that. We were joking before about, just the birthdays. They're not quite, I don't know. Maybe they are as fun.
No, it's like you just want to wake up and like not have backaches. And when I'm like, now it's like my next birthday, and I'm like, can I actually get up and go out to like dinner, or do I just want to like stay home in my pajamas for my birthday and like call it a day?
Same. That's the debate every single evening for me. Like, I don't want to leave the house, but I honestly, in addition to working out, I was a big yoga person and not practicing it as much as I would like to, and it's primarily because of the travel. Like I'm barely home, as you know, just trying to coordinate this. Over the past couple of months I've been home probably a week, like total. So it's been a lot. It's hard to get into like a regular flow of anything, but the gym, and then honestly, I live in Florida, so I get sunshine, I walk, I love being outside, and I think in a weird way, wrestling kind of keeps me young. Like,
never heard that before in my life.
Yeah. I know it's weird. It's weird, but I really pride myself on, I feel like right now at age 38, which is insane to say, I'm the best I've ever been. I feel the best. I mean, my body hurts, of course, but in the ring, I feel like I'm like moving the best that I've ever moved.
I mean, I watch it. I agree on that for sure. I mean,
thank you.
It's pretty crazy, and I'm glad you're saying you're feeling the best that you've ever felt, because you were dealing with like devastating injuries last year. So it's like, and you know, we didn't know when we were going to see you back on TV and kind of what you were going through. If you want to talk a little bit about that and kind of like how far you've come, because you are back full force and crushing it. So, you know, how's your mindset now?
So strong. The strongest it's ever been. Honestly, genuinely, that's how I feel, and thank you.
Of course.
It was you know, I've spoken about it publicly before, so there's like no secrets, but it went on for like over a year, just trying to figure out, you know, I had 3 seizures spaced out, like, I don't know, maybe 3 months in between each one. And I just had to learn like all the seizure triggers for people and how to avoid those. Lack of sleep is a huge one, which is always, you know, there's a tug of war there going on every week with travel and shows and whatnot. But it was just a very educational year, and I just had to figure out like the things that I really needed to put in place to never experience that again. I just, it's the scariest thing I've ever experienced, and I never want to go through that again, ever. I mean, it's like, I mean, as, I don't know, saying this, I don't want it to seem like I'm living in fear or anything, because I have a really positive mindset about it, but there's always that kind of lingering, like, oh God, what if? And obviously it's like very dangerous. I mean, you could be in the middle of driving or anything. And and so it's scary stuff, but I've connected with so many people, just whether it's via social media or people telling me. I've had fans coming up to me at airports and autograph signings and just like expressing to me that, you know, they've had seizures, they have epilepsy, they have family members that have had seizures. And it's just, it's a real connection point between me and a lot of people. So that part has been really cool and rewarding, because you share your story, you're not sure what the response is going to be. You know, and it's been really positive. So, working on mindset and like your thinking is just such a huge part of, I believe, so many things, so many ailments that people have. It's like, you know, your mental health and your mindset and all these things are so overlooked. And I think we're way more aware of that than we used to be, but it's like, it's a work in progress.
No, for sure. And thank you for being so open and real about it. Cause you know, you say you don't want to live in fear, but it's a real life, and you know, anything can change in so quickly in 2 seconds. Something you didn't know could be an issue, and then it happens. And now that's your life now moving forward. And you have to always be cautious. And I think you even just talking about it as openly you have, the fact that it's helping people, you know, it's mental health is so important. I talk about it on my show all the time, because you don't have to be physically hurt to like debilitate yourself mentally. Like, it's so scary. And so many of pro wrestlers in AEW everywhere, like, I think when you are just so unfearful to talk about it and you don't know the kind of reception you get, and then you relate to your fans, is why they love you so much. So I think that's very brave of you to do and to talk about. But, you know, it's also real life. This is your passion, but it's also your job, and you're a human being at the end of the day. And like, this is your life that you have to deal with. So it's 100% a very real thing for you to talk about. So I thank you for, I know we took a little turn in that, but I like, that was really, that was a cool thing for you to like open up about. I appreciate it a lot.
Well, thank you for saying that. When I first, like, when I made that initial post, I was really scared. I'm not a big social media person, and I kind of do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
It's just not really my thing. But even in the year and a half almost that I was away, I didn't go on social media one time. I just took the apps off my phone. It was great. It was so awesome.
Right.
And so it was my first post in that amount of time. It was really scary, especially just not knowing what the response was going to be. But now, circling forward to 6 months later, almost 9 months, I guess, since I initially talked about it, it's almost empowering to speak about it. I think a lot of it is because I broke through like that fear of, oh gosh, should I talk about this? What, what's going to happen? Like, how are people going to react? But I think, like I mentioned, like just connecting with people about it and getting such positive feedback has created such an empowering mindset around it versus like scared or shy or what have you.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, 100%. And it's always feels good to not feel alone either when you're struggling in something, it's like more power in the masses. If someone has a similar situation or someone's going through it as well, and you can kind of, have somebody who understands a little bit more than maybe just someone that's watching and doesn't really get it as much as you do. And I'm sure too, without fail, like AEW and the people you work with there were very supportive of you in that time, because I know you're very happy there. So, I'm sure they were all in the locker room, like there for you and checking on you and making sure you were good. And, Tony wasn't going to bring you back in until you were 100% good to go back in. But, you're lucky to have a workplace like that as well.
Very lucky. The company's been really good to me, and they're good to everybody that's out on injury or out on health leave. They take care of us, and they don't rush us. The medical team is incredible. I love our medical staff. Like I'll go in the medical room when I get to work just to say hi, because I love all of them so much. And Dr. Sampson, and Dr. Smith, our two doctors, they were diligent about the process of clearing me. It wasn't like, okay, 1 week, let's see you in the ring, boom, you're cleared. It was a process. It took about a month of weekly ring workouts, and just building, like starting a little less and then each week and then having a match. And so they were very responsible with it, and just supported me so much. And my coworkers were, I mean, the response from people, from my peers that I got when I started coming back to work I can't describe how awesome that feeling was. You made me feel so loved and appreciated and missed. And I reciprocated all of that for so many people. Like I work with a lot of amazing people that I love so much and respect, of course.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the fans were very happy when you came back as well. I think you could just tell that you were missed because of the reception you did get. Finally back. I know I was excited to see you because I was like, fuck yeah, I just think the women's division AEW right now is kind of hitting on all cylinders and really, really strong. You just had your win on Collision the other night, and now Riho stepping up to challenge you, someone you've had a bit of a rivalry with, I would say. You had that great match with her at Double or Nothing in 2021, which was an insane match. Talk a little bit how you feel about, coming to face her again, because she was out for a little bit as well and then came back just to challenge you. So how's that feel?
I'm excited. I wasn't expecting. She's been in Japan for a while. A lot of the women from Japan have to go back for visa purposes and whatnot.
Right.
And we don't know when they're coming back, or I don't. The company, I'm sure, does. But yeah, it was a surprising one, but in a good way, because as you referenced, the Double or Nothing, that pre-show match was, I mean, because we were the first match after, COVID restrictions started getting more lenient and the fans came back at Daly's Place. And it's like probably my favorite match of all time.
Wow. Okay.
Honestly, like just that feeling, it was so electrifying. And it was just a blast, and wrestling at Daly's Place is special, of course, for a lot of us. So yeah, it's been a number of years, but I've loved my matches with Riho in the past. I think she's really good in the ring. She's small but mighty. She can really go. And I love working with Japanese wrestlers. They've had different training than a lot of American wrestlers, and they can really go and they bring it. And, I feel like a lot of my best matches in my career have been with Japanese wrestlers, both domestically and over there. So I'm excited. It'll be fun to see how this all transpires, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see you back on the win column, like burning through, because I'm waiting for the Deeb title shot at some point. I think if the time 2024 could be the time, I think it's the most exciting it's been in women's wrestling. The amount of different women and styles that are in the company and represented and characters is kind of insane. Like look at Toni Storm. You have Mercedes Moné, and after Forbidden Door, your DMD's back. So how did you feel about her return and kind of eyeing down Mercedes? Is that in the locker room, is there kind of talks or what goes on when there's a big return like that?
Well, I was completely surprised, like wholeheartedly genuine. I was surprised. I was watching it from the comfort of my living room, eating pizza.
That's the best birthday ever. Just say.
For real.
I knew I
got that.
I knew I liked you. Pizza too. Like we could just be best friends, but.
Yes. Add another thing to the list for our budding friendship. Exactly. Yeah. So when her music hit though, I was like, this is cool, man. This is, it was a surprise, and I'm sure everybody was surprised because I think all of us were just awaiting, like, all right, when's Britt going to be back? Let's go. Obviously Mercedes and Britt is a match, I'm sure, like everybody probably has wanted to see that for a long time. And the stars have aligned. Mercedes is at AEW now, and I think everybody wants a piece of that. I mean, I can't wait until I get to wrestle Mercedes. It's never happened before.
Wow. Okay.
It's never, we've just never crossed paths. The timing has just never met up and aligned. So, I'm excited for that one. I think she's been doing great in her return to the ring too. I mean, she was out for a while with an injury and, has expressed to me in conversation just, I'm nervous. Maybe I shouldn't expose that, but just like natural. Anyone coming.
I feel like that's a natural feeling, Yeah, of course.
Exactly. You're like, do I know how to wrestle still? Like, how's everything going to feel? Whether it's your knee or your shoulder or whatever it is, it's like you always, again, have that in the back of your mind. So, but I think she's been killing it. And Toni Storm, I've told her this before, I think she's the best thing in wrestling right now. She's just nailed this role. You can feel each week. I mean, it's something else that she adds to the presentation. Yeah. She's a star. She's amazing in the ring. Really look forward to getting to wrestle her again. Double or Nothing this year was a blast. And so, when is Jamie Hayter coming back?
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy if you think about it, because it's like not even everybody's back yet and it's already so exciting. And there's so many like women too that are coming up, like a Willow and, a Sky Blue and like these other girls that are being pushed. And like, it's just an exciting time, I feel like, to be a fan of pro wrestling. Is there anyone else besides Mercedes? Because I actually think that would be a banger of a match between you and Mercedes. I can't believe you've never wrestled her before, because that's going to be insane. But is there anyone else on the roster that you just, even storyline aside, like whatever, just you think it would be like a sick match? Like your styles would look good and you would just be in the ring together and it would look really great.
Ooh, great question. Well, Jamie's probably the top of the list. I think her work is incredible. I'm a big fan of her in the ring. Um, she's hard hitting, all of the qualities. I mean, I love those matches when you hit hard and you make that. It fires me up. I like wrestling that way way more. Yeah, I think Willow's really, really coming along as well. I enjoyed my match with her a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else? That's a really good question. I would probably
do.
Yeah, you do.
I asked the good questions. You know, someone we had on a few weeks ago who I love, Lady Frost is someone I felt like in the ring with you would be kind of interesting because I think she also is someone that doesn't get enough play, and I think she's very talented, but like someone like that, like, you know, a lot of the girls on, like, you got Billy on Ring of Honor and like these, like, there's just so much options for things to happen, and you're such a pro and you're such a veteran in it that, like, I feel like you could really elevate anyone that's in the ring with you. And I'm not saying that to kiss your ass, but like it's true. And I think there's so much room for activity, you know, like there's so much like happening that I know that's like a lame Step Brothers line. Have you ever seen Step Brothers?
I swear to you, I was just about to say that when you completed your sentence. That's my favorite movie.
There's nothing worse than quoting a movie and people just stare at you. It happens to me all the time that I'll quote something and I think it's hitting and I'm like laughing and they don't know. They're like, what does that mean? Like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. Over the head.
That's me. I honestly, that happens with Mickie a lot because Mickie will say something and I have no idea what the fuck she's ever talking about because she's one of the weirdest but most lovable human beings ever. And we're going to have to talk about Mickie as well because you have something exciting coming up too. But yeah, no, I think that the possibilities are kind of endless. That's why I'm like excited to see what's going to happen this year. You got Wembley coming up. Like, it's just a crazy time. So there's a lot of room for anything to really go on.
Yes, totally agree. Yeah, we have a young roster in a lot of ways, and everybody is improving week by week. I think there's so many more opportunities now for the women than there once were.
Yeah.
A lot of it is attributable to obviously having Rampage, having Ring of Honor, and now having Collision. There are a lot more spots, you know, than there once were. And I just thought too, Thunder Rosa is another one.
Oh, my girl. I love her.
Yeah, she's awesome and really love my matches with her too.
Yeah.
It's been a few years, so I think circling back to that would be really fun too.
She seems like will punch the shit. Like, she hits hard. Like, you could tell. Yeah. It's just like her personality. And when I talk to her, I'm like, even when she's messing around me, I'm like, damn, like, you're like, relax. Like, I'm not a wrestler. Like, don't hit me. Like, don't get too excited. You know what I mean? But yeah, totally. I would love that. She's another one too. She came back from injury and I just, you know, she had to go through what she went through. And I remember sitting down and talking to her just about like mentally and physically coming back is almost harder than dealing with the injury is like the return, because it's all the questions that you have and you have to go into it thinking a certain way and like keeping a certain mindset. And that's almost the hardest part. So
agreed.
It happens to a lot of people. But speaking of Mickie James, because we got to talk about Mickie James, you have a super exciting match coming up with Mickie in France for ABC Catch on July 12th. So obviously you and Mickie have a great friendship. I actually hung out with you guys at WrestleCon. That's, I think, how I even met you is because of Mickie James. But you do have the budding rivalry. You have a history. You know her very well, all the way back to like OVW. So, you know, how do you prepare going into a match with Mickie? Are you just more excited? You know, what's that kind of chemistry like with her?
She's like my sister.
Yeah.
She's one of that core group of women that I place ODB in that as well. I mean, it's these people that you really came up with. I mean, obviously Mickie had way more experience than I did when I first met her at OVW, but when I first saw her and she was Alexis Lurie, she hailed from Virginia and I was like, oh my God, I'm from Virginia.
It's so funny.
And it's just, yeah, she's such a warm, genuine, funny person. She's hilarious. I laugh constantly when I'm with her. And She's so humble. Like, she's never changed. That's something that I just love and respect in her so much. She's obviously done everything in this business that there is to do. She's total legend. And I mean, as a person, I love her dearly. I would do anything for her. And so wrestling her again, because it's been many, many years. Yeah, I want to say the last time we wrestled was the TNA Knockouts, like one night only pay-per-view, which, yeah, I think, unless
I should have done my research better.
No worries. I don't have the greatest memory. So yeah, I think just excitement, and we obviously have really different styles as well. I think the stylish class there will be interesting, and doing it in France, it's just awesome. Like, I'm going to France.
I know.
Yeah.
I want to come so bad. I was like, oh, do I just like go into my savings and buy a ticket just for like a weekend and come and like just to hang out with you guys? I mean, you've been all over wrestling. Is like, what would you say is your favorite place to wrestle? Like, if you had to pick one.
Japan.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah, there's something special about wrestling in Japan. I've been 7 times.
Oh my gosh.
I think it is 7 times. A lot of them more short stints, like a week. And then one time I lived there for 3 months. I've wrestled for like 5 or 6 different companies over there, mainly with Tajiri in his various companies over the years, and just had an amazing time. I mean, like I said, I love wrestling the Japanese girls, and so just getting to go over there and like every show, someone else, someone different. There's some wrestlers over there that I think haven't burst onto the US scene yet, and yeah, so talented. So that's an easy for sure, Japan.
Well, and that's why it's beautiful. We have things like Forbidden Door where we can like really showcase some people that we wouldn't see unless we were following certain kinds of, companies and stuff like that. I am jealous that France is getting to see this match between you and Mickie, because I really want to see it, because I'm like, I feel like it's just, especially like, do you prefer, and I don't know if this is even a weird question to ask, like, do you like wrestling a friend more than someone that maybe you don't know that well? Is it because like, do you have to go into it completely different because you do know them? And is it like a little more pressure because you do, or is it like a little less pressure? Like, how is that kind of mindset? Obviously I've never done that. So like, is it better or not?
It's a great question.
That's all I do. Come on.
That's
Gabby
all
AF.
you do. Gabby AF. I freaking love the title of your show.
Thank you.
It's so good. It's so good. I think wrestling your friends is more fun. Because that trust is already there. Obviously, trust in the ring is huge.
Right.
The trust person to, I like, obviously, especially when you know them so well outside of the ring, that's already there. The connection is already there, which is another super important element, obviously. I think also with your friends, you can hit a little harder in a lot of instances. It's like, okay, we love each other. I'm going to hit you in this match and we'll still be able to love each other in the future.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. I
feel like I would be the type where it's like, if you pissed me off on something and then like we got into the match, I would like take it out on you at that point. Cause I feel like sometimes you harbor little things in friendship where you're like, all right, well, let's wait until we get into the match and I'll hit you a little extra hard because you pissed me off last weekend when we did this. Like, I don't know. It could also end friendships, I'm sure, if it's like a little hard hitting, but I would be scared to wrestle my friends, because it's obviously the trust is there and the connection's there, but also sometimes it's got to be exciting if you really don't know a lot about that person, because like maybe you'll have a connection you didn't even know you did, and it's like, I don't know, it's such an interesting concept. I feel like
it totally is. I just love her so much. I like, this is gonna be the Mickie hour, but when I met her, I was 18, and this is when I was brand new, starting at OVW. I had just moved away from home for the first time, obviously just graduated high school, and I just thought she was so cool. Like, she was awesome wrestler. Her entrance music was "I'm Just a Girl" by No Doubt, which is
so good.
Come on, so good. And she helped me out so much because she was under contract to WWE and I was not, obviously. And she had this like extra class. It was called the girls class. And every week she would devote this time. She didn't have to. She was not paid extra or anything like that. It was like extra time because she wanted to see the women's division grow. And it did. I mean, we had some awesome women at that time, and just some of the best memories for sure of my career were that time. Times were different. It was, it was special. It was awesome.
It's amazing because when we do talk about Mickie, and this is going to be like the nicest thing ever to Mickie, and she probably won't even, I texted her earlier. She's not going to answer me for 3 days, and I'm talking about her, even though I love her to death. But like every time I talk to anybody about Mickie James, or even just when I first met her and I talk about her, like what she does for other people, like she is she's not a self-serving person, and she could be if she wanted to, because so many people are. It's never only about her. It's never just like, oh, I'm doing this for myself. And like everybody I talk to that has a history or knows her well, they're like, when I met her, she helped me so much and she did this. And like, she's just, to me, she's one of the greatest. Like if I had the Mount Rushmore of women, like she's on it for me as a fan watching. So I'm sure it's just nice to know that even though she's amazing at everything that she does, she's such a good person as well. Because that's not always the case. And it's just nice to know that that's across the board. Like we don't just kiss Mickie's ass because of the fact, and now you have to go to France and kick her ass, even though we're saying all these nice things about her. So.
For sure. And you're so right. Easy. I mean, Mount Rushmore, yes, without question. She's incredible, and everything you said is spot on. She's so genuine, has the best heart. And yeah, I'm excited to be in France with her and, experience
so much fun.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I didn't even know this about you. Did you like grow up of like a pro wrestling fan, like, and like that's how you got into it, or was it something that kind of just fell? Because I also read that you were a big soccer girl, which is interesting because that was my whole life is soccer. So that's another thing that we connect on. I had to bring that up. But like, was it pro wrestling always for you? And like, that was it. And you were like tunnel vision for it?
Yes. Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah. It's funny. I have in my office here, I have my senior year from high school yearbook. Oh and every single person that signed this yearbook wrote something about wrestling.
That's amazing.
I can't wait to see you in WWF. It was WWE, I can't wait to see you become a wrestler. I can't wait, all these things. And it's really cool to go back and look at that. And just, that was my identity. I was the wrestling girl. I was obsessed with it. And I was a very serious soccer player as well. I started playing when I was 5, and I played in the league in DC. It's like some of the best girls soccer in the country. And I played for my high school team. And yeah, when I reflect on that, I definitely would have gone to college for soccer, but it was wrestling. It was from 12 years old. It was wrestling, and just obsessed. Yeah. It's all I talked about.
I love that so much. I love that you're like living your dream, because not everybody gets to do that. It's kind of an amazing thing. But yeah, I mean, who for you was like those, like the end all be all kind of people when you were growing up and watching? Like, who do you kind of take some inspiration from in your own profession?
Yeah, well, probably no secret Bret Hart is, yeah. I mean, just perfect wrestler. Like, there's no holes in his work. I definitely try to model a lot of my work off of Bret. But when I was a fan watching it, like late 90s, DX was like, that was my thing.
Yeah.
Like China was probably the most important at that time for me, because I was in love with her. I just thought she was the coolest ever, and she was so inspiring as a young girl. And then Triple H and Shawn, and that was so influential. Watching them at that time, and I was obviously young. I mean, I was middle school and high school, and I was pretty naughty. Like
I love
I
that word.
had, yeah, oh gosh, it's so true though. I had a real attitude problem the more.
Really? I can't see you
It's
like that, I feel like.
Yeah, it's weird now. It comes out sometimes, but overall, but at that age, I was just so influenced by wrestling, and Attitude Era was, it contained a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that really influenced me, and I just constantly, Gabby, like I had all the VHS tapes, the magazines, ordered all the t-shirts. Like every time they were in DC, I would go to the events. My mom would take me, autograph signings, the whole deal. That was my entirety of those years of my life, was
So
thinking
amazing.
about wrestling. Yeah.
It's so awesome. It's just like awesome to see, because you've done so much in your career so far, and you've wrestled so many people, and you've been part of so many things. Obviously, the whole Punk thing where you shaved your head is like an iconic moment that everybody remembers. Like looking back, I know you mentioned like one of your favorite matches was that match with Riho, and obviously like, is there any moment to you that like will always stand out as like top 3 in your career, or something that just meant a lot? It doesn't have to be a match, doesn't have to be a win, or just like a moment of something that you've done where you're like, that's one of the best things I've ever done.
Obviously the head shave. Yeah, the head shave, which it's weird to me because that doesn't even feel like the same lifetime.
Right.
Like it feels like a different person. It feels, yeah, like
So
that
crazy.
that it's so crazy. I mean, yeah, it's when that comes to my mind, I'm like, whoa, that trips me out that happened.
Right.
And that whole chapter happened. It's not really like a defining in terms of on-screen moment, this next one, but the day that I got signed by WWE was the feeling that I had that day. I was 22 years old, and I had been wrestling at OVW at that point for like four years ish. I went to college at the same time. I got my bachelor's. Wrestled 7 days a week, a lot of times at OVW, worked in a restaurant, to obviously make money and live and all that stuff. So it was a very packed 4 years of just working my ass off. And the day, it was a SmackDown taping, I'll never forget. And I had a match in the ring like earlier in the day, just in front of, like, I just talked about this on Busted Open because Nick Nemeth brought it up, because he would always wrestle me on those days, and they're terrifying because it's like Undertaker's there, like Hunter's there,
Right.
all these really intimidating figures are all just there, like watching you. And I had a match. It was with Katie Lee Burchell. People might remember her by. I'd wrestled her a bunch at OVW and had this match. And then, an hour or so goes by, and they said, Johnny Ace wants to talk to you. Go to his office. He hands me a fortune cookie, and I open it, and it says, I still have it. It says, take a moment. Yeah. It says, take a moment for yourself tonight. Look up at the sky, or look up at the stars, something like that. And then he said, I want you to really do that, because I'm signing you to a developmental deal, and I want you to relocate to FCW in Tampa. And like, Gabby, I mean, the feeling.
I got chills of you talking about it. That's like amazing.
I remember calling my big sister. She's 8 years older. And she was like, sis, remember this moment, because you'll never feel this way twice. It was, man, crazy. Like,
wow.
Again, feels like another life.
Right. Well, I feel like in those times, like, you live more than one life almost, because, that person that you were is such a different person than what you've evolved to now, and like what and the experiences that you've had. It's like, it's bittersweet to look back, but you've also, transformed so much since then in like your career and what you're doing, that it has to be rewarding to kind of talk about those memories and like be happy to talk about those memories. And like, you're not done yet, which is even crazier. So it feels like another lifetime, but it's not like you're out for the count. Like, you're going to have a whole nother life coming up soon when you have more shit going on. So it's like, it's such a blessing, and really it is. And it's like, even for you to talk about it, I felt your emotion of you talking about it to me, and we're not even next to each other. So it's like, that's like a beautiful thing. It really is.
Thank you for saying that.
Of course. No, and I mean it. And, you know, like, I think with everything that's going on in pro wrestling today, you know, obviously you hear about, you know, the NXT and TNA crossovers and Jordan and all this kind of stuff happening. Like, is that something that you personally would like kind of love for yourself? Is there anybody across the board, if there were crossovers to happen, that you think should be in the ring with you, or someone that you would want to face that just hasn't happened yet? And like, you know, anything's possible now, you know. It's so we could talk about it as if it's like a dream or a fantasy matchup or something, but it doesn't mean that it could never happen. Like, do you ever think about that kind of stuff?
Totally. Yeah. And anything is possible. It's a cool place for the business to be at, because for so long it wasn't like that. And it was very rigid. Very rigid lines of, no, you can't cross that. So now the lines are blurred. Right. I think, and you mentioned Jordan, pardon me. I thought her match at that NXT pay-per-view was really good. I really respect her. To watch the transformation of her, like, she's incredible. She's honestly somebody, I would love to get in there with Jordan at some point. But I would say number one, well, not even I would say, definitely number one is Rhea Ripley.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say that, because that
you were
that's such a fantasy matchup for me. I would just love to see that, because I feel like you guys would just beat the shit out of each other.
Yes, we so would. When we were at the Performance Center together, we just had a really cool bond. I felt really close with her. I think of all the coaches, myself and Scotty Too Hottie, we were kind of her people. Like, I always had her back. I always tried to pep her up and encourage her, because I knew, like, and I'm not saying like, oh, I knew, but I knew. I was like, this girl's a star. She just, once she gets that right thing, it's, you know, forget about it. She's gonna rise so fast, which she has. And I actually saw her, it was at Double or Nothing. I saw her. I couldn't believe it when I saw her. I was completely shocked. And we embraced each other. I gave her the biggest hug, and we seriously did not let go for like 10 minutes. We were just standing there with our arms around each other. Like, I cried.
Wow.
I cried multiple times. I told her, like, I'm so proud of you. I knew it. You've persevered through so much, and I love watching her. I think she's the biggest star in women's wrestling. I think her in-ring work is incredible on top of all her character work. Like, she's number one. I told her that. In my personal opinion, she's just operating at a level that, like, there's a lot of great women, but she's up here, in my opinion. And yeah, when I saw her, I was like, I want to wrestle you so bad. I think for both of us, it's a dream match for sure.
We got to make it happen. I don't know how. Somehow, some way, we got to make it happen, because I think that would just be such a banger of a match. And I didn't know you were that close with her. That's kind of surprising to me. Like, that's kind of an amazing, beautiful friendship that you have with her, which makes me want to see the match even more, because I feel like you guys would like hold nothing back at all.
Yes.
Unfortunately, she's out with injury right now too. I'm sure, you know, she's been leaning on you a little bit with that, or, you know, it has to suck, because my heart broke for her when she had to, like, relinquish her title for injury, because you never want to see that happen when she was like top of the mountain after Mania and stuff like that. So at least she has a good friend like you to, I'm sure, lean on a little bit in these times.
It's a lot of times it happens when you're in the midst of just your best work, unfortunately, but it's a growth period to be had by anybody that goes through it. Like, it can, you know, you can crumble, or it can change your perspective around so much. And I think injuries really teach people, like, gratitude and not to take things for granted. Like, things could be taken away at any moment.
Yeah.
And it reframes your perspective if you allow it to. So I'm positive that that's going to happen with her, and that, I mean, the second she comes back is going to be like, oh yeah, like the best is back.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I really believe that. I think the world of her, for sure.
I love that. I'm excited. I'm hoping she comes back soon, because like I do miss seeing her every week. And shout out, she just got married too, so congrats for that. That's just like a side note. If she's listening, she's probably not, but congratulations on getting married, because her husband is also somebody you work with, which is funny because he's in AEW. So
yes.
So you're like a big happy family. I love that. But yeah, no, I mean, thank you so much for the time. I always end my interviews, because I like to ask whoever I'm with kind of in the midst of like what 2024 is going to look like for you, because I like to ask like what your, observations are for yourself and your goals for yourself for this year, so that when you look back on the interview, you'll be like, see, I told Gabby that I was going to do this and it did happen. So before we end, that's just my question to you. Like this year, what should we expect from Serena Deeb?
So it's funny. The other night when I went to dinner for my birthday, the waiter brought like one of the dishes out with a candle that was lit. And I, like, for real, I closed my eyes and I made a wish. And I guess I shouldn't repeat the wish. I think that's how it works with birthday candles.
I guess, yeah, that's what they say, right?
That's what they say. But essentially, like a lot of there are things that I've been wanting to do with in my life that for years that I've held myself back. I would really like to get my yoga practice back and start actually doing something with it, whether it's like teaching here in Orlando or, I mean, anywhere really. But I really want to start making yoga videos, and I've thought about it forever. Like the entire time I was at the Performance Center, I was like, I should do yoga videos, but it's one of those things. It's like, whether it's a confidence thing or a fear thing or, like imposter syndrome, where you're like, oh, I'm not good enough. And I don't know. So I've sort of teeter-tottered with a lot of those feelings over the years. But again, everything with the seizures and the time off, and it just really changed my perspective. I'm practicing so much more gratitude than I ever have in my life. And it's a great feeling, but it also made me think kind of what I said to you, like our time is limited. It's limited. I've had good friends and family and, people pass away or people move away or whatever it is, where you're just like, man, we don't have forever, and don't waste time just being, sitting there like twirling your thumbs, being in fear and not doing things because you're scared. Don't hold yourself back. And for me, that's something that I have done a lot in my life. I've been my own worst enemy. And I want to go after the things that I want to do that I've maybe been too scared to do or too intimidated. So maybe that's not a total like solid concrete answer of like, it's this thing.
Yeah.
But it's like the mindset, and it's the approach to my life, and just, continuing to practice gratitude, like all the time, every day, throughout the day. Like I'm really grateful. I'm very blessed in my life, and I don't take it for granted.
Oh, that's so
at
beautiful.
all.
That's a beautiful send off. Also, if you did like a mini series teaching yoga to like AEW stars, like it might be fucking hilarious. Like if you were like showing moves to like RJ City or like Eddie Kingston, like making them do yoga stuff, that I would watch that every fucking week and laugh my ass off. Like, because you could be a phenomenal athlete and not be able to do yoga. I've done yoga and that shit is hard. Like it's not easy. But I don't know. I think that's a good idea. I think that would be like a funny way to kind of get into it by teaching yoga, but also doing it to like beginners. So like, who cares? Like, I don't know. I would watch that in 2 seconds. And when you make money off of it, I'll be your manager for it. I think I'm just going to work myself into that. I would not be able to do it. I don't know. I just think that would be funny. Imagine like RJ City trying to do fucking yoga with you.
God. Dude, he's
insane. That AEW you did with him, by the way, was how I knew we were going to be friends too, because he's just ridiculous and you were so good on it. And like you had such a good sense of humor and you were so good with him. Like I was like, oh, she's a real one, you know, like it's just, that's a side of personality that not everybody gets to see. So it's kind of cool, but.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that exactly what you said is my idea.
Yeah.
So we're in the same frame of mind for sure. Yeah, I think that would be awesome. And like RJ does, just another thing for people to get to know people differently. Then I think it would be awesome. And yes, like you said, yoga is incredibly humbling. Oh my gosh.
There's nothing more vulnerable than being like downward dog talking about like your feelings. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is my childhood. Like, tell me about your childhood. And you're like struggling to like move your legs. Like that shit's hard, but it does take, it takes a lot of mental space to yoga. So it's definitely a good thing, but
yeah,
I would
absolutely agree.
You got to do it. I would watch it. Just saying. And when we look back and it's a hit, we'll be like, we talked about it on Gabby AF first.
Yes, we did.
Just invite me to come on it. Of course, I'll come on.
I would love to have you on it. You're on my list. I'm holding you to that.
And then we'll eat pizza after and listen to Britney Spears because those are all of our favorite things.
Oh my God. Shout out to my girl. That's my girl.
Poor Britney.
Love Britney.
Literally. She's fucking amazing. I don't care what anybody says. That's like that's my childhood is right there. Like everyone's like, oh, Britney, Christina. I'm like, no, it's Britney. That's it. That's Britney Spears. And if you disagree, you don't know what you're talking about.
I totally agree. It's Britney all day. No question.
Gotta get her in AEW to do something, I think, but we'll talk to Tony about it. You never know.
Yeah. I'm sure TK could figure that out.
I feel like he can really do anything. So like, I would not put it past him to like bring Britney Spears in for a minute. Like, come on.
But seriously,
thank you so much for coming on, Serena. This has been so much fun. I could talk to you for 3 hours, but I don't want to take up your whole day. I had so much fun. I hope you enjoyed this as well. It's been awesome.
It flew by. I feel like we've been talking for 2 minutes. So
I know.
I'll come chat with you anytime. Thank you for your time, Gabby.
No, thank you so much. And I'm excited to hear about what goes on in France with Mickie. Have fun with my girl.
Yes.
Go enjoy all the French food after your match and have so much fun and kick the shit out of each other. I can't wait to hear about it. July 12th for ABC Catch. And I'm excited to see what happens with you and Riho moving forward. So we'll be watching everything AEW. So I'll keep an eye on you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gabby. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you. And thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Gabby AF. We will be back next week. Until then, LYMNB. Love you most. No backs.